Okay, it's that time, 6:30. Mary, call roll, please.
Lakeisha? Not there. Chris?
Here.
Annie? Oh,
Here. I'm here.
all right. Brent?
I'm here.
Brian?
Here.
I got everybody, right? Nope.
We also have Annie is online.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Chris is online. And Rezoning's online, but you don't count. So
I think you got
everybody's been
everybody,
called.
Mary.
Annie?
Yep.
Okay, Annie's there.
Yes, here.
Okay. Hi, Annie.
Okay, the agenda's before you. There are no changes, additions, or deletions. A motion to approve.
So move. Oh, second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The consent agenda. Any items on there that you would like to talk about before we take action?
Mayor, I'd just like Ryan to detail that change order just a little bit, please.
Sure, and I've actually asked Kevin to talk a little bit more about that in detail. So Kevin,
Sure.
Can you take that?
Yep. Okay, so it consists of 5 separate items. The first is replacing gas piping on the roof. It's really unrelated. It's not directly related to this project, but city staff wanted it added because it was determined that it was damaged and it needed a replacement as construction started. The second one is the GFCI receptacle, which it did not meet code, so it was also added to the project. I think this was an existing receptacle that must not have been a GFI receptacle. A hose bib was also added. City staff wanted that added as a request, which also included running the water line to this hose bib to help them in maintenance of their units on the roof. The fourth one is a roof screen allowance. It's actually a credit. In the bid, there was allowed $20,000 of time and material for this item, and there was a slight credit to the project after they submitted their time and material information. And then the last one is the corroded duct and balancing dampers. This was discovered during construction. It was because of materials in the initial installation when the pool was built. So it was corroded pretty bad and it really had to be replaced. I don't know if that is sufficient for you, Brent, or if you have any more questions.
Was that well within the contingency built in?
Well, I know they worked really closely with Shelley and staff and Ryan, I think, to figure out when each one of these came up, how it was going to be paid for. And I think part of it was going to come out of Shelley's operating budget. And
Yeah, I can jump in here, but
Okay.
yeah, we had, when we found these, we looked at where else we could fund some of these outside of the funding we had determined for this project. And we had some additional money in the operating budget or in our capital budget for the year. So that's where it'll come from. So we should be good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Ask for approval for the consent agenda, please.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Kevin, you're up.
Okay. All right, it's already been a busy week, so I do have several updates. Southwest Growth Utilities, the project, the contractor does appear to be behind schedule for completion. And we've had several meetings with the contractor. We've been having weekly construction progress meetings, and then in addition to that, we had a meeting with with Ryan and with myself and Steve Troyer with Fox and their project manager to have a pretty frank meeting with them about completion and quality of work. And I think it was a pretty good meeting. We're going to find out tomorrow because we have a regular schedule, or I'm sorry, Thursday, we've got our regular weekly meeting with them, and we'll see how their schedule has changed. Right now, the substantial completion date, as it was just changed the last meeting, is May 13th. So that's in 2 days. We know they're not going to make that. And the final completion date is May 31st. So they're well aware of it, and we're going to follow the contract and enforce it as necessary. Rancho Way Phase 5, that's on the agenda tonight to review the bids received and take action on award of contract. Rancho House renovation Phase 2, that's moving along. End of the month is their completion date. I know they were installing, I talked to Guy this afternoon, they were installing the gutters today. And we do have a meeting with that contractor tomorrow morning. So we'll review their work and find out what they've got left to do. Pool heater replacement project. There was a final staff review meeting held last week, and tomorrow is the release of the bid documents. And let's see, the bid opening, that's a public hearing, is scheduled for May 25th. Bid opening June 1st and award of contract June 8th. And then construction will be roughly mid-August through mid-October, and there will be a period of time where both pools are out of commission. We just don't know exactly when that's going to be yet, and we probably won't until a contractor's on board. But we're trying to minimize that time as much as possible. Next is the City Hall project. That's moving along pretty good. We've had some really good meetings here of late. We do have consensus on the floor plan, and we met with city staff again this morning to review the building exteriors. And I thought that the concept looks really good, I thought, and I think the staff really liked it too. So we do have another meeting on Thursday to discuss the site some more. And after all these concepts have been finalized with city staff, we're planning to make a presentation to the city council. And right now, I think that tentatively we're planning for the second meeting in June. 2 more. Fairgreen Road Trail Project. This is the trail replacement project. We completed the 50% plans, and we submitted those to staff for review. We're going to meet with them tomorrow to discuss that submittal before proceeding with the final plans. And right now, we're looking to award a contract in July 13th. And then lastly, Centennial Park Loop Road. That's on a similar schedule, just slightly behind, but we did complete the 50% plans and also submitted those to staff. We'll have a meeting tomorrow after the Fairgreen Road meeting to discuss that submittal. And right now we're looking at award of contract, the second meeting in July. And that's all I have tonight, unless you guys have questions.
Questions for Kevin?
Kevin, remind me the name of the company we're having issue with. Is it Boomerang?
Yes.
So noted. Thank you.
Any other questions for Kevin? Mr. Heyer?
Good evening. Just 3 quick hitters from me tonight. First is that staff's been working with Tracy on our budget amendment, so we'll have something in front of this group, I believe, at the next meeting. Obviously, the year didn't go as planned in terms of revenues and expenditures. So there'll be a lot of detail on that amendment. However, at the end of the day, we're going to be in as good of shape or better than what we had projected when we put the budget together. We're also working on a bond sale. This is generally the time of the year where we sell for projects that we've already completed. We're looking probably right around a $7 million bond. And those proceedings will start also at the next meeting. And as I'm sure it's no surprise to many of you, rates are very low right now. So we're hoping to take advantage of that. And then finally, I think the mayor sent you all an email with some information about the American Rescue Plan. And those rules were released yesterday. I've not had an opportunity to dive into them just yet, but we'll be doing so as a team here in the next couple of weeks, and eventually we'll need to have a discussion with the city council on how the group would like to proceed with those funds. Just as a reminder, it's not as if the funds have to be spent right away. We have some time so we can put some thought and discussion into this. So we will prep you folks with information, and then we can have that discussion. And that's what I have this evening, unless there are any questions.
Questions for Ryan?
Ryan, would you be able to bring the list of priorities that we worked on last winter when we have that discussion for the rescue plan money, please?
Yes, are you're referencing our kind of our strategic session, our goal setting session? Yeah, I can do that.
Anything else for Ryan? Thank you. Mayor's report. I have 3 proclamations this evening. Bicycle Month and Bike to Work Week. Whereas the bicycle is an economic, healthy, and environmentally sound form of transportation, recreation, and enjoyment. Whereas increasing bicycle access and safety enables residents of North Liberty, including young people, to participate more fully in the educational, social, and economic life of our community. And whereas the metro area bicycle network, including our off-street trail system, now attracts bicycle tourism and economic development that helps to support and sustain local business. And whereas throughout the month of May, residents of North Liberty can experience the joys of bicycling by participating in educational programs, rides, commuting events, charity events, and or by simply going for a ride. And whereas these activities create better public awareness of rights and responsibilities of bicyclists to improve safety for all. Therefore, on behalf of the city of Creston, we do hereby proclaim May 2021 as Bicycle Month. In North Liberty, we urge residents who are able to join in the observance for bicycling, for fitness, recreation, and the commute to and from work. Bob Opplinger, your turn, sir.
Thank you. My name is Bob Opplinger. I'm the Education Advocacy Coordinator for Bicyclists of Iowa City. And I also have the good fortune of having been elected to the Board of Directors for the League of American Bicyclists, which is the national advocacy group. And the League founded the Bike to Work Month in 1955, so quite a while ago. And Iowa City area has been participating in it since 1990, and I was there. And so thank you very much. A couple of things I would point out. Number one is for the first time in our history, the Bike Club is now sponsoring a ride that starts on the 4th Thursday of each month from North Liberty. And Ryan Rusnick is the ride coordinator for that. And so the next ride, I believe, starts from Centennial Park at 6 o'clock on the 27th, I think is the date. And so I'd invite you to come and see that. A second thing you might want to check out is we're actually expanding. We started Bike to Work week or day in 1990, and then it was a week, and then it became a month. And now we're going to do the summer of the bike. So we're going to have events all the way through the summer. So the rides out of North Liberty are going at once a month and all the way into the fall. And so I invite you to check out events at bikeiowacity.com. is a website that has a calendar of events that are coming up. And so I'd invite you to get involved in some of the activities. Next week, or Saturday actually, the bike library has moved in Iowa City, and it's having an open house on Saturday afternoon. So I'd encourage you to come down and see what they've done. They've now owned the building that they're operating out of. So they're no longer going to be moving. They've moved about 4 times since they began operating. And it's a very worthwhile group. Other than that, I would check out the website to see what else might be going on. But thanks a lot for supporting us. And if there's any questions, I'll answer those and then get out of your way.
Could you repeat what that website is again?
It's bikeiowacity.com.
Thank you. For all your work, your love of bikes. We're a family of bike lovers ourselves. And congratulations on that national roll. That's amazing. So hope to see you out there on one of these rides. Thank you.
You will.
Anything else on that subject? Next is World Neurofibromatosis Awareness Day proclamation. Whereas the Children's Tumor Foundation is observing May 2021 as NF Awareness Month and May 17th, 2021 as World NF Awareness Day to educate the public about the rare genetic disorder. And whereas although over 2 million people around the world are living with NF, and 1 in every 3,000 births is diagnosed with NF, it is still relatively unknown to the public. And whereas NF affects all populations equally, regardless of race, ethnicity, or gender, and whereas NF causes tumors to grow on nerves throughout the body and also can affect the development of the brain, cardiovascular system, bones, and skin. And whereas the disorder can lead to blindness, deafness, bone abnormalities, disfigurement, learning disabilities, disabling pain, and cancer. And whereas the Children's Tumor Foundation leads efforts to promote and financially sponsor world-class medical research aimed at funding effective treatments and ultimately a cure for NF. And whereas the Children's Tumor Foundation provides patient and family support through its information, resources, youth programs, and local chapter activities. And whereas much remains to be done in raising public awareness of NF to help promote early diagnosis, proper management and treatment, prevention of complications, and support for research. Now, therefore, in the name of North Liberty, we do hereby proclaim May 21 as NF Awareness Month and May 17th, 2021 as World Neurofibromatosis NF Awareness Day. Catherine, your turn. You're muted yet.
There we go. Well, thank you, Mayor and City Council, for seeing the importance of making this proclamation. Neurofibromatosis is a lesser known disorder than cystic fibrosis, Huntington's disease, and muscular dystrophy. But yet many people have not heard of it. NF is an invisible and a visible disease. It's invisible when the tumors are growing inside the body or maybe in the brain. It's visible when you see tumors on the outer side out of the body, either on the face or maybe the neck or on a person's arms. Or in the case of our grandson, he has a bowed tibia. And so that is very noticeable because he wears a brace 24 hours a day in order not to break that bone, because it would be a total disaster to break that bone because they do not heal properly. He is fortunate that he has been able to go to the Shriners Hospital in Minneapolis and is having surgery to hopefully strengthen that bone and to bring it back into alignment. We are having a walk in September 18th, in Cedar Falls to raise funds to continue research for the Children's Tumor Foundation. They were able to do research that found a drug last April that was approved by the FDA for children with tumors. And they found that this drug will reduce tumors by 20%. But there's still a lot of work to be done for people who have NF2 or schwannomatosis. So again, I thank you for seeing the importance of making this proclamation, for making NF aware in North Liberty. So thank you very much for doing this for us today.
Welcome. Any questions for Catherine?
Just a comment, Mayor. Catherine, thanks for raising our awareness here on this meeting as a community and for that education. And just, I hear the passion with your grandson there. So thanks for elevating the broader community with us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, we were totally blindsided with this diagnosis. It had never happened in our family. We'd never even heard of it before. He's now 3 years old. He was diagnosed at 14 months. So it's been a scary proposition, but because of the Children's Tumor Foundation, we feel that there's hope and that there's support. So again, thank you so very, very much for making this possible.
You bet. Thank you for your time. Next, we have Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Whereas Pacific American Heritage Month was first proposed as a commemorative week by Representative Frank Horton of New York and signed into law by President Jimmy Carter, with the week's first recognized being in 1979. But was amended to its present form of an annual celebratory month in 1992. And whereas the contributions of Americans of Asian and Pacific Island heritage have made to this society are too many and varied to list comprehensively. And whereas the API community is the fastest growing racial group in America, and today an important moment to recognize not only our longtime communities, but also our newcomers, Asian Pacific Americans and the Transcontinental Railroad, and to service with valor in armed forces, to the fields of agriculture, business, education, health, and technology. And whereas the API community has been marked by struggle for freedom, equality, and justice, prevailing over the adversity of exclusion, persecution, incarceration, and disparities. And whereas the contributions of Americans of Asia and Pacific Island heritage have made to this society are too many and varied to list again comprehensively. Now, therefore, in the name of North Liberty, we proclaim the month of May 2021 to be Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Do we have a representative from that organization that wishes to speak?
I don't believe we do, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is Outreach and Equity Coordinator position. Is this Nick or Jan or Ryan or whom?
Nick's going to take this one, and Jenny is here as well, and Keisha Fields also is here, who's on the Communications Commission.
And she gets to play two roles as well, because she's also actually the inclusion and equity specialist for the county. So it's she's double hitting tonight. So you saw my memo in your packet as well as the full job description, but I wanted to sort of take you folks through how we got here and the conversations that we had, and what we think this position will do for our community, for the community center and wider. So this conversation really started a few years ago around conversations about better coordination and collaboration at the community center. Staff talked about how we take that unique space, that vibrant community hub, and make it better serve North Liberty. We talked a lot about how do we make the proximity of all of those departments an asset. So, we talked about, joint programming guides and sort of marketing senior programming rather than sort of these different silos. Meanwhile, the Communications Advisory Commission was really urging us as a communications department to do a better job of outreach and thinks about specific populations that we knew were going to be harder to reach. Meanwhile, the city's communications needs have grown, and it's become harder to give the community center departments as much communication support as they really do deserve for all the good work they do. In 2020, as you folks know, we hosted a series of listening posts surrounding social justice and racial equity. We heard a desire from the community really for some proactive outreach, as well as improved access at the community center, among other things, of course. In the fall, staff revisited this position and the opportunities a role like this might offer us if we approach that program and service collaboration, particularly through a lens of equity and inclusion. So then earlier this year, we talked about what we believed this position could be, the problems we hoped it would solve, with the promise that we'd come back to you folks with a fully developed job description and show that to you. Since we formalized that job description that you have in front of you, working with Jenny Shelley, who's in Hilton Head tonight, unfortunately, city administration, other local equity staff, and our commissions. And further conversations with our partners at places like Think Iowa City and ICAD in the last month or so really have reinforced their desire to help build capacity for diversity, equity, and inclusion as part of our community and economic development strategies. So I feel really good about what this position is and what it could do, and frankly, what it could free other folks up to do by helping us focus on the community center. So in front of you is that job description. We've titled it Outreach and Equity Coordinator. It would work in communications. That would be their hub, but really would work in close collaboration with community center staff, library, aquatics, recreation. It really would be a shared resource. Their goal would be that one of their tasks would be developing and executing and supporting programs for those targeted populations. We've talked about seniors, we've talked about low-income households, we've talked about non-native English speakers, and we've talked about communities of color. They would, of course, we'd want them to bolster existing program as well as help develop new. We'd want them to develop and implement equity initiatives at the community center. So looking at what we already do and how can we make those pieces better? How can we increase the access that we offer our community? We also believe this role can really help us leverage the social service agencies. You folks have talked a lot about social services in your last couple of meetings. We support them in a number of ways, but this is another opportunity to help leverage those here in North Liberty by partnering with them to provide programming, as well as help them serve residents of North Liberty just more widely. As well, this is really a community center focused member of the communications department to really make sure that work gets highlighted the way it should. They've grown and continue to produce great programs that really we need to make sure people know about and so they can access it. So I'm really excited about this position, what it'll bring to our team, the community center, as well as North Liberty. And I'm happy to take and answer any questions that you folks might have.
Apparently none so far.
Nick, you have detailed in that description about the proposed youth council. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I know we've had some initial discussions, but what does that look like? What does that program do, and how would this person assist?
I think that's a really good question. And I think what that youth council looks like really would need to be a conversation with the council who set it as a goal and this person who could help advance that forward. I think that back and forth is really an important piece to how that youth council develops and serves the needs that the council identify.
Nick, the absence of comments and questions from me is just in support of this new position. As you mentioned in the memo and all of your attendance right here, the need for and the hope for some addition to our community center and support to our city, that's what you're all working towards. So this is a great opportunity for us to do that.
Thank you, Chris.
This is really a good opportunity for somebody to really take this and really run with it. So.
I
too. Oh, go ahead, Annie. Go ahead.
Your explanation here, because I was one of the ones who had questioned, what really is this role?
Yeah.
So I think, reading it ahead of time, you explaining it here is helpful. And I think probably some of this is trusting all of your expertise, your collaboration through this, and seeing just, Brian, to your point, really it'd be awesome, right? It's always, you need the perfect person in this role to just take it and just run. So I think it'll be fun to see how this continues to bring community and all the great that Jenny and Nick and everyone just working on this. So I'm in support and just appreciate the additional details here.
Rakisha?
I'll just second what everyone just said. I am in support. I was in support from the beginning as well. So I appreciate you coming with more information in detail and explaining it fully. And also just kudos to the various departments in coming together to develop this as well.
Keisha, don't mean to put you on the spot, but any comments you would like to make?
So I'll say, like, my role at the county is fairly new and similar to this description in this job description. So I completely am on board with it. Coming into the position that I've been in, it is new, and a lot of people are going to be hesitant to utilize this person in the beginning. But then once they get familiar with that person and their role, they will be used a lot. I say that from personal experience. I'm used a lot, and it's for the benefit of the county from my perspective, because people have someone to turn to and talk to. And just be like, oh, you're focusing on target demographics that haven't been focused on before. So this position I'm completely in support of, and also will be very helpful. I would love to help the individual get their start too, because again, I was fairly new, and it was me trying to figure out how I could be best utilized at the county.
Both programs could grow together.
And I'll just chime in and say, like, just you saying how new it is and being able to develop it into what it needs to be over time is going to be very important and critical, especially now.
I just wanted to chime in and say, from our perspective, across the country, libraries are starting to hire social work positions in the library. And we were able to host a social work intern for almost a full year until the pandemic. She did some work outside after that, but her work was invaluable to us. She did training for staff in secondary trauma and equity and diversity training. She did some research in the community on how we might reach some of those underserved populations for us. In the short time she was here, she was phenomenal. If I could have kept her, I would have. But I think this position has so much potential to do a ton for the city in general, and particularly for our departments here in the community center.
Any other comments?
Nick, do you think this person needs to be hired from local, or are you going to be looking well outside of the boundaries? Because this seems like a position that has got to come in with some fairly already established relationships to hit the ground running and not have to spend years building the relationships in the populations that we're trying to target.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really important that we get the right person, Brent. I mean, we always like to hire local because those people that know the area and know North Liberty and know the community are always able to hit the ground running, right, in a way that a new person, like, I mean, we all know how Ryan Rusnak came in. There was a real problem there. But honestly, folks that come in that live in this community, they know folks, they have those relationships. And I think the relationship part of this position is going to be particularly critical for it to be successful.
Anything else? Well, I think there's a general consensus that go ahead with the position and stay with your hiring plan that you've already established, and really no other additional action is needed.
Thank you much.
Next on our agenda is the social service grants. This will be resolution number 2021-37, a resolution affirming social services grant allocations for fiscal year 2021-22. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Mary, it's your choice. Okay. It's moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Would you please take roll, Mary? You're on mute, Mary.
Smith,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Wason, Harrington. Am I not getting everybody there?
Okay, Brian, you were on mute.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Annie, I didn't hear your vote.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. I think that covers them all, doesn't it, Mary?
It does. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Item 10, franchise fee. This will be the third consideration and adoption of ordinance number 2021-05, an ordinance amending the Mid-American Energy Company, Interstate Power and Light, and Lynn County Rural Electric Cooperative Franchise Agreements to adjust franchise fees. Anyone wish to establish the third and final?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions? Mary, take roll, please.
Harrington,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
There you go.
Third and final reading passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Number 11, livestock ordinance. This is the second consideration of ordinance number 2021-06, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of North Liberty, Iowa, updating portions of the Animal Control Code concerning livestock within city limits. Anyone wish to establish the second consideration?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion or question? Our grant, I really should go to you for any clarifications or recommended amendments that have come up, or Ryan, either one.
Yep, thank you. I just, the current ordinance reflects the voted on amendment at the last meeting to allow the entire rear yard to be an enclosed pen. But there's also some staff initiated changes, one of which we talked about last meeting, but wasn't actually a motion to amend. And that was clarification on what a chicken coop is and what the materials could be. We think that we've got that pretty good. And the last, which is probably Mr. Heyer's favorite part, is that the zoning code official, which is yours truly, processes these permits, and I'm happy to do it. So if you're agreeable to the last two, if I understand correctly, there would need to be a vote to include those changes in the current ordinance.
That is correct. So if you have heard the proposed amendments, we'll group them as one, unless somebody has a problem with it. Entertain a motion to take the two amendments and fold them into the ordinance.
Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Okay, moved
I'll second it.
and a second. Discussion or questions?
Mayor, I would just say we've had some additional emails. This has been a hot topic for a couple of weeks. We've received a lot of correspondence. And frankly, I want to say thank you to all of those that are reaching out. That's what this process is about. That's why you've elected the folks that you're seeing sitting here so that you can reach out and contact us and we can represent you. It's become a little harder with COVID. And, I'm sitting in my house and not as in council chambers where you can come in and speak to the council. I'm hoping that will change soon. But I do want to say thank you for all the correspondence, both for, against, the back and forth with staff. Russ, thank you very much for your continued communication with those that speak in favor and against, and for the education and working through this. This is just one of those that we're not going to make everyone happy, and then that's really not our job to do that. To Kathy, I know Kathy is watching tonight. One thing that I would say is, remember in homeowners associations, the bylaws within the HOAs can, state that there, can't be livestock in the HOA if you live in a certain neighborhood. So those are actions that I guess I would, in that particular case, in the area in which Kathy lives that reached out to all of us, I would certainly, maybe exercise that route. But for this, I think it's the best for the entire city, and that's what the city council is really voting on tonight. So thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
So, Mayor, there is just a typo in the section about the designee, or the zoning official or his designee. So one of the designees needs to be fixed when they get around to adjusting it.
Brian's shaking his head. Yep. You want the job? No? Okay.
I knew this job would be dangerous when I took it.
You're trying for combat pay now. We'll go ahead and vote on the amendments.
Yes.
Mary, take roll.
Smith,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Amendment passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Are you ready to vote on the full second consideration?
I just got one quick question to Grant.
Sure.
So my understanding then is, oops, where did you go? So it's everybody shuffles around every time you move. So
Right.
if somebody has a complaint about the chicken being too noisy, it's handled just the same as if the dog was too noisy. Right? So,
Where'd I go? There I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There are provisions in our code, and I happened to see some of the correspondence you received. In the document that's before you, it said that no chicken is allowed to be a nuisance to violate section 5504. That says that no animal is permitted to habitually bark, bay, yell, screech, or make a sound of any nature for a prolonged manner, such as to unreasonably disturb the peace and quiet in the vicinity. Separately, we have another section, code section 5307, that talks about specifically noisy animals making noise for more than 10 minutes. Is something that's if it's constant for more than 10 minutes or intermittent for half an hour, that's something that would be subject to a municipal infraction or a nuisance abatement, depending on the process. Or under this provision, revocation of a permit. There's a host of options that are available to remedy noise, whether the animal creating noise is a dog, cat, or chicken or other. So there are tools available. It's just a question of how we want to go about doing code compliance.
so people have recourse if the thing becomes a problem for them.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, Mary, we'll go ahead and take roll on the full second consideration.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Smith.
Second consideration, as amended, passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Next item is Greenbelt Trail rezoning. This is the second consideration of ordinance number 2021-07, an ordinance amending chapter 167 of the North Liberty Code of Ordinances by amending the use regulations on property located on the west side of North Liberty Road, approximately 700 feet north of Psalm Drive, located in North Liberty, Iowa, to those set forth in the municipal code for RD10 2-unit residence district. Anyone wish to establish the second consideration?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Final discussions or questions? Mary, please.
Smith,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Second consideration passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. 13, this will be the second consideration of ordinance number 2021-08, an ordinance amending chapter 45 of the North Liberty Code of Ordinances to allow the consumption and sale of alcohol in authorized public areas. Anyone wish to establish that consideration?
So moved.
Move. Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion or questions?
Mayor, I have one.
Yes, please.
Ryan, have you had any questions or come in or concerns to the city about this proposed proposal?
No, we have not heard anything from the public on this ordinance.
Thank you.
Brian?
I was probably the most concerned, I think, that Ryan talked to, and we had a good chat about it. And I think that there's a pretty good plan in place to kind of prevent the things that I was kind of worried about. So,
Okay. Other comments or questions? Mary, please.
Pollock,
Aye.
Wason,
aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Second consideration passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Next item on our list is the Dubuque Street Phase 1 project. This will be a resolution number 2021-38, a resolution authorizing relocation assistance and reimbursement procedures for non-residential tenants displaced by the acquisition of certain properties for the Dubuque Street Phase 1 improvement project. Anyone have questions on this before we get into the action? Brent?
So Grant, this doesn't tie any monetary
Right.
amount. It just gives us the ability or the vote that we are going to enter a negotiation in this.
Right. And so that's correct. What this does is it allows me to have conversations with the tenants that are being displaced in accordance with the DOT relocation and acquisition manual. Whenever we are acquiring right away, we can kind of go about it in accordance with how the Code of Iowa does it. But if we displace someone, we have to do it the same way the DOT does it. And the DOT has to follow federal rules. We might not have federal money involved. There's none for this particular project, but because we're displacing people, we have to follow the Uniform Relocation Act, the Iowa DOT Relocation Manual, and that involves providing services and so on. And for example, offering relocation, the actual and reasonable expenses for relocation. So there's a process where people would have to submit 2 firm bids, and we can offer the lower of the two bids they get, for example. But this does not authorize me to spend any money. This authorizes me to make offers consistent with that would be subject to council approval. No one's going to write a check based off of what I do. This is all going to come to you, and then you'll have to listen to me talk about why I think it's a good idea or it's the best I could do or whatever. But this is something that we kind of have to do as far as whether you have me do it. There are companies that you can outsource that do this sort of thing for municipalities. That's so I'm perfectly capable, and this resolution just says Grant, go do some work and report back. But any other questions, happy to answer more.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but those that may have not seen council meetings to this point, we've had a lot of discussions with these owners already. We had good neighbor meetings. And would it be fair to say that all of those in this process are maybe not necessarily in favor of relocation, but are voluntarily having these discussions with the city and working with us at this point?
I think that's fair. I don't think so. There are 3 commercial tenants that were displaced by, or that will be displaced by the acquisition of the building in question, and one of them is already halfway done moving, and they're saving their receipts to turn over to us. Another one is looking for a spot, and those are both represented by council. They're well aware of what their rights are, and have been in contact with me. And I can't start authorizing anything until this resolution goes forward. The third one, the Design Lines owner, I believe, retired, and that doesn't mean that she may still be eligible for some relocation assistance, even if she move somewhere else, just to move her personal effects out of there. And I have to be authorized in order to make an offer on behalf of the city in order to pay for those expenses. And I know the direction for the council in the past has been make sure these people are taken care of. And this is the process we have to do in order to do that.
Thank you, Grant. Thank you, Mayor.
You bet. Okay, you've heard the resolution. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
Do that, please.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or question? Mary, please.
Wason,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. The next item, Ranshaw Way Phase 5 project. This will be resolution number 2021-39. A resolution accepting the bid and authorizing execution of the contract for the Ranshaw Way Phase 5 improvement project. Kevin, can you just go into that a little bit more in detail for other person to be listening or whatever?
Sure thing. Okay, April 20th, the DOT opened bids. This was let through the DOT in Ames, and we received 4 bids on the project. Pearson Contractors of Rhinebeck, Iowa was the low bid in the amount of $7,882,878.58. This was approximately 5% higher than the engineer's estimate, which was $7,495,000. We do recommend award to PCI. PCI is a very large contractor. They've been around a long time. They've got a pretty good reputation. I know they're skilled in this type of work. They did the Coral Ridge Ave project for the city of Coralville. I can't tell you their subs. I heard a rumor on one, but we're not allowed to talk to the general contractors until after award of contract. But I can tell you we're pretty happy with the rumor that we heard about one of their major subs. We reviewed the bid items to see where we could find any discrepancies. Didn't really find anything too major. There are a lot of unit prices. There are a lot of different bid items, over 100 bid items. Some are over the estimate, some are under the estimate. We did see a couple that we're going to talk to the contractor about. It's the aesthetic treatments on the pedestrian tunnels. So we're going to talk to them about those and see if there's a way that we could possibly cut costs and maybe start out the project with a change order deduct. because it was about 180,000 more than the estimate on just those two items. So I think it's worth possibly doing some value engineering on that. But like I said, we're not allowed to talk to the contractor until award of contract. I don't know if you have any questions about PCI, but we do recommend award to them.
Questions for Kevin? All right. Would ask for somebody to establish that resolution for award of contract, please.
So moved.
Mary, did you get a motion and second?
I didn't get the second. I have Rapisha for the moving. So,
I'll second it.
Wason, okay. Thank
Mr.
you.
Wason. Final questions. Would you take roll, please?
Pollock,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Related to that is resolution number 2021-40. Resolution approving a special speed limit specifically for a segment of Ranshaw Way in the city of North Liberty, Iowa. Anyone wish to establish that speed ordinance resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussions or questions? Mary, please.
Wason,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Next item, resolution number 2021-41. Resolution approving the sub-award agreement between the City of North Liberty and Iowa Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. Ryan, do you want to just go briefly into that, please?
Yes, this is for the enhancement of our siren in Fox Run that would actually expand our radius of that siren into parts of Cedar Springs that currently aren't included in any area. We were happy to be able to get this award that's going to pay for 85 or 90% of the total cost. So as you might suspect, though, there are a few hoops we have to jump through and some paperwork that needs to be done coming from the feds. So we're asking the council to approve this agreement and we'll take it from here.
Yeah, our costs are really pretty nominal compared to what the total cost of the project was. So, okay. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions? Please take roll, Mary.
Smith,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Next item is the lease agreement. Resolution number 2021-42. A resolution approving the lease agreement between the City of North Liberty and Epley Properties LLC. Anything on that you want to discuss before we formalize this? If not, motion be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions?
Just
Mary?
appreciate the landlords being pretty helpful on working with us on that.
Mary, take roll.
Harrington,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Wason.
Aye.
That resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Old business from council? New business from council? Yes, Brent?
Mayor, first off, I just want to say thank you to my colleagues on council. You know, it's been great having 5-0 votes, 5-2 votes, 5 anything votes. There's 5 of us in chambers at voting. It was not that long ago that we really struggled to even have a quorum. And the thing that we have going is good, and I appreciate everyone's work. Secondly, Mayor, I want to make just a couple of comments about coming out of COVID, post-COVID, and reopening. It's my opinion here that those who wanted vaccinated have been vaccinated. Those who have chosen not to be have that choice. Those who have chosen not to be vaccinated still have opportunity to be vaccinated should they choose. Even more so with walk-in clinics now and being able to get shots pretty much anywhere. With that said, it's my opinion it's time to open. It's time to go. I want to see North Liberty do this correctly, but I want us on the front edge of this reopen. I want to see our pools open fully without restriction. I want to see our library open fully without restriction sooner rather than later. We've done a good job. Staff has done a phenomenal job in keeping staff safe, keeping residents safe. But everyone has had a choice. We've had time to make those choices. And I think it's time to open. It's time to get back to normal. It's time to have full summer programming for kids who, you know, have had a really broken year, a crazy school year. I want to see our kids have a full summer programming and get back to normal. And I would end by saying, Mayor, I would ask that we move back to chambers with your direction very soon. And with that, that's my comments for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Other comments you want to make? If not, we'll adjourn. Thank you for your time and participation this evening.